All right. So, Akshay, welcome to the Hall of Fame. I'm
Thank you.
so happy to have you on this event because this is for people who achieve a significant milestone after they've worked together with me through the masterclass, through anything
Right,
that we do, right? So, it's wonderful to have you, Akshay.
right. It's definitely an honor, being a part of your Hall of Fame
Wonderful,
session here.
wonderful. Yeah, and I think it's going to be very interesting for everybody who's going to watch this, hear this, because you're doing something so interesting for all the people who are listening, watching. I just want to tell you, Akshay has been in the leadership role in the corporate world for many years, and a couple of months back, he started his own venture in the wellness space and is doing some really interesting work after he did his customer experience masterclass. So, Akshay, it'll be great to hear from you. What are you really up to?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Rajat, once again. So yeah, I think customer experience is something that has always been very close to my heart. See, even in my previous role in my organization where I was working, being a part of the customer experience, customer servicing team, it got me closer to customers, and that was something I always had in my heart, my mind. So even I think after I moved out of that job, I remember talking to you as well. And then, of course, going through your CX Pioneer, masterclass workshop, I think that really helped me because my experience, of course, apart from customer experience, it was also in leadership development. So I was trying my hands at different things. I also got into holistic health and wellness. And while I was working, and even after the CX Pioneer workshop, I was focusing mainly on creating a niche. So I think the niche that I created was in the wellness space, because I think one thing I believe that a person will be able to create that experience for the other person only if the person understands himself or herself well, right? And that happens only when you're able to balance all the dimensions of wellness, right?
Mm.
And which is why the focus has always been on wellness. And what I am also focusing mainly on is on the client centered therapy, which was Carl Rogers, the famous psychologist. His theory was on the client centered therapy, where he said everything is about the client, it's not about you, it's about the client. So just focus on what the person is feeling. Get the person to experience it. Don't force your thoughts. Don't force your emotions on it. If the person is feeling sad, then just go with the flow. Just help that person, and that is the basis of the company that I've formed. It is going to be about the customers and helping them understand who they really are, so they can help their customers. They can help their people. So I think that's what it is.
Fantastic, fantastic. So amazing. I think really find it very refreshing on one side how you picking up customer experience and bringing it into the world of wellness, which I had not heard. Of course, we hear customer experience in the
Right,
digital world, in business to business,
right,
but
right,
wellness, putting it in that wellness niche
right,
is so amazing. And I really like the way you have created a niche for yourself, and you're saying,
right,
which is so wonderful, your how well you understand yourself can help you serve your clients better. And I think more and more I am doing the work that I do.
right,
I'm kind of experiencing that we tend to serve more and better by deeper understanding and deeper personal transformation, right? So would you anything interesting from your world, using this client centered
yeah,
approach,
right,
what some of the interesting stuff that you may want to share?
right. So I think again about this client-centered. So the sessions that I usually have with clients. So being the client-centered thing, and even before I went out, so what I did was there were two clients who had kind of enrolled with me. And I think they were kind enough to be a part of a new session or series that I was kind of starting. And so how it moved was, instead of calling it emotional wellness coaching, I kind of called it EQ conversations or rejuvenate. The basic reason was to make it like a conversation and not a coaching session. And again, going with the client-centered approach, the focus was on them. So I think every session was just centered around what is it that they want to talk, which of course most of the coaches do. But here it was mainly about emotions. So what is it that they want to talk about? And I think that really helped me. And they were also kind enough to kind of give feedback in the way the sessions were happening. They helped me create those programs. So I think it was kind of a co-created approach in the true sense,
mm,
where
mm.
I was walking alongside their transformational journey, and they were in a way kind of helping me transform the services so that I could reach other people. And it really helped, because I think that was one program that I kind of launched just day before yesterday. I've called it Rejuvenate,
Mm, mm,
balancing your wellness pizza.
mm,
And these two clients who were, of course I won't name them, but these two people who were quite instrumental in helping me define it. Because I think whatever I think they wanted, they expected, of course I would ask them, I would talk to them. But even through the sessions, I could understand what is it that they probably wanted. And I think based on the intuition, that's how I kind of I would tweak the session. And I think the results were quite positive, not only for my sessions, but I think for them, I could see a stark difference. Like for instance, a person who is not able to express herself well, getting stuck in the past, is now in a position to move forward, and look forward to what's happening in the current space of this
mm.
person's life, and also looking forward to the future with a very bright perspective.
Wow.
So I think that is what I think. And I think it also gave me that satisfaction that, okay, the belief uh, that if you focus on the person, it'll definitely help the person evolve. And of course, I think this person is, while the sessions were not focusing on the professional aspect, but even in her professional journey, I think she's able to make a big difference there. So I think that
Mm.
also is good.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I think the way I see, I have awareness about how the coaching works, but
Right,
it's upfront, keeping it so clear in your mind. That's all about the client,
right,
and then
right.
working with them to serve them, for them, and
Correct.
almost like,
Right,
very, very democratic, where they say, by them, for
right,
them,
right,
of them,
right,
right? So
right,
it's amazing. And the way I see the genesis kind of organizations that you have worked with, and what you're evolving, I
right.
believe there's a really heavy footprint,
Yeah,
and the DNA of client centricity, customer centricity in that.
correct.
Have you, Akshay, also done something specifically with the corporate world, in purely in the area of customer experience, customer centric culture,
Right.
some work there?
Yes, yes. So immediately after our workshop, I had the opportunity to work with an organization. The organization itself is customer centric, but they needed a program mainly for their support teams like finance, HR,
Hmm,
and administration.
hmm,
Um, and IT.
hmm,
So they got all these teams to work together to create an employee experience.
hmm,
So we created a program where the second line leadership of these departments got together. Of course, we got the inputs uh, from the leaders, asking them what was it that they want. So what was it that they wanted? And obviously, it was mainly apart from retention, it was basically for creating an experience um, that gave them the confidence that any work given to IT, any work given to say finance or admin is as good as done. And I think it was again a great experience, because I got this opportunity to design it with the leadership team. The leadership team, at least for the first session, they were involved, and they had made it very, very clear as to why are they doing it and
Hmm.
what's in it for them.
Hmm.
Uh, so the good part was that even though it was online, so I think, yeah, that was the first thing, because we did
Hmm.
this during the lockdown.
Okay.
So it was an online workshop. There were 4 sessions, almost 3.5 hours each.
Okay.
So the good part was that I think people were looking forward to it, because
Hmm.
again, I think it was mainly interactive. It was based on what is it that they wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I got them to create their own experience.
Hmm.
Of course, it was based on the inputs received from their leaders,
Hmm.
but they created their own experience. They created their own action steps, and that was obviously shared later with their leaders. So I think, yeah, that was a great experience. Then I think there was another program that I created, was based on again a client servicing team, on how emails can be an important a lever to create an experience. So while of course I did not focus on the aspects of emails, because I said, if you're looking for grammatical things, then of course I'm not the right person, but together we can create something that will help them focus on creating those emails. So I think there I've kind of focused on the aspect that compassion plus empathy is equal to trust, and you can create compassion and empathy only if you understand what compassion and empathy means. So I
Hmm.
got them to think about what are their fears. So the thing was that it's only when you understand what your fears are will you be able to understand how it feel, how the client may be feeling.
Hmm.
So I think getting them to be compassionate and empathetic towards their own self. They created their own plans, and that is where I also kind of introduced the personas. So I got them to create the client
Hmm.
personas.
Wow.
So if they were coordinating with customers, then what are the different kind of customers? So we got them to create those personas. Then I think what were their moments of truths? Where did they falter? So I think internally the groups were created, and I think they looked forward to it. So I think the feedback I think they gave me was that I think they were expecting a random email kind of a training.
Hmm.
So they enjoyed creating the persona. They enjoyed creating this persona based plan. I think
Wow.
that is what.
Okay. I mean, frankly, I could have not imagined what you just did until I heard it now, because I would think different ways, like you're saying, how would
Right,
a email training will pan out, but bringing
right, right,
empathy and compassion into that,
right,
and
right,
teaching it through the design thinking models,
right.
persona, based inputs to create emails
Yeah,
is
yeah,
absolutely amazing. Very, very,
right,
again, very innovative. I can see again, you bringing in your own flavor
right, right,
to the whole customer experience. A lot of people do customer experience. They get, like, you're certified now, certified CX pioneer.
right, right.
So they use it in terms of progression in their career,
Correct.
looking at moving into CX related
Right,
opportunities. But
right,
you built something which is entrepreneurial and unique in its way, and again very people
right,
centric. Like, I know
right,
from
right,
where you come from, that's
right.
probably your core and that's your niche. And now
Right.
then taking it to the wellness
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
space, right? So
Right. Right.
if you remember, we covered several pillars or competencies, as we call it in the CX world, including
Right.
culture, strategy,
Right. Right.
design.
Correct.
So I can clearly hear from you the design thinking is something that you are heavily using. Also, some element of culture. Are these the ones
Right.
prominently that you focus on? Are there any other, let's say, in strategy area, or any other, like taking customer feedbacks, anything that you
Um,
consciously, or in terms of being an entrepreneur, you you
right.
you kind of do it with little more attention
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah. So I think in terms of the first program that I conducted with the support teams, so there I think we had made use of a lot of client based feedback.
Okay.
And of
Oh.
course I think so when we shared the feedback with and the feedback was we had received it from the leaders,
Hmm.
and when we actually shared it, so obviously the natural response was, oh, this should not have happened, how did it happen, who are these people, how did it go? And then when I said that this is actually a feedback that has come from your customers, so they
Hmm.
were, I think, kind of taken aback.
Hmm.
Some people did not agree. The ones who had initially agreed, they did not agree. And
Okay.
then I think I got them to think about, okay, what is it that is stopping you? Because some people I think were like, okay, we don't want to be a part of this. Are we being? Are you trying to say that we've not done a good job? What about the efforts that we've put in? So then I think there is that is where I think we created again a discussion saying that, okay, efforts are important. So let's talk about what could have been done differently. And people from other team departments also, I think, instead of pointing fingers, they said, okay, this is what we could have done. And that's how it changed. So one or two people did so of course they did have their own way of thinking, but they agreed towards the end, saying that ultimately, yes, we are working for the organization, for the customer. Yes, we did put in our efforts, but maybe I think we need to put it in the right direction. So again, I think that is where I think together the group realized the importance of the voice of the customer. And they said, we've always we look at feedback, we seek feedback from it. Most of the times customers have a lot of expectations. So we can't meet each and every expectation, but we'll definitely try and see to make a difference. So that is where I think again I kind of recommended that why not take this as an opportunity and work in separate groups and come up with plans. So I think that is what they did, and even there they made it cross-functional group.
Wow.
So I think that really helped them understand not only the customers but also the challenges of these other cross-functional teams. So I think
Fantastic.
that was a
Fantastic. I think it's so interesting to see how each of the things that we learn, like you're talking about cross-functional, that's
yeah,
typically the weak link. These,
yes,
working across silos and
yeah,
collaborating with the other interdisciplinary teams. I think
yeah,
you kind of drove that with your work. And for everybody who's listening or watching this, what we are seeing from Akshay, the application of all the customer experience principles in the way he's been
right,
driving it with his
right,
clients. And Akshay kind of got introduced to me in some way from his prior employer, from where he started,
yes,
moved on to then start his own company. And
yeah,
I'm so grateful that, Akshay has been, in touch with me to see when can we plan and do a program. I'm grateful
yes.
that, I could work with such a passionate, wonderful person. So, Akshay, is there been any change in your trajectory, in your way of thinking, in your mindset? Uh, you were already very customer centric, right? So that's
Yes,
something
yes,
that you
yes,
already, that's
yeah,
the reason
yeah,
you wanted to do this.
yes.
But do you think, did it kind of in some way change or kind of enhanced or added some new perspective and dimensions when you had a deep dive into customer experience competencies?
Yes. Thanks for asking that, Rajat. Yes, it did. It did change. So I think just to give you an idea, so I was kind of raw even before this CX Pioneer program, the masterclass. I think I was obviously raw. So while I knew, we would definitely, I would definitely make use of the client feedback, but personas was something that was different. I had known about the moments of truth, but then how do you create a plan? How do you create a strategy with your clients to move forward on uh, those moments of truth? So I think that did that helped me. And I think then another thing is that earlier I would, so even when I would go outside and in hotels or restaurants or theaters, wherever I would see poor customer experience, I would initially get angry. But later on, I think what started happening was I would just I saw it as an opportunity to maybe perhaps learn from it,
Mm,
saying, okay, this is where this is the missing gap.
mm,
This is how people can make changes. So instead of I think yelling at them, I would not everywhere, but I think wherever it was possible, I would just give them certain tips on why don't try doing this. You may want to do that. So I think some restaurants, I think I did pass on feedbacks once they started, working again.
mm.
Uh,
Okay.
I have not had the opportunity to go to the theaters now, but maybe I
Mm,
think perhaps once things settle,
mm,
that is one place where I could just go and just give them wherever I find things going wrong. So I think that's how it changed. Instead of making me angry, I think I now know that this is where the gap is, and this is how they can maybe take it forward.
Wow.
That's how it's changed.
Hmm. Amazing, amazing. You, it resonated so much with me, and I think you kind of reminded me of something that make me also angry, and which is a kind of quality of service. And when
Right,
I, like they say that if you have to discover your passion, find out what makes you angry. What do you really want to change?
right, right,
And I remember giving this kind of a good and bad feedback both to some of
right.
the vendors, to some
Yeah,
restaurants, to some
right,
airlines,
right,
to some stores, that you better do this or you're doing
correct,
this well,
correct,
right? So that
correct,
came so
correct.
naturally. And again, my journey as focused customer experience evangelist professional, though
Right,
I've been in this space for 20 years, but as an
right,
entrepreneur started just a little over 5 years back. And I
right,
used to wonder, where is this customer passion for this coming from? Right? So it's resonated so much, and I can see
right.
that there is a genesis for each one of us, like you just
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
That passion just needs some framework, right? So it needs
Correct.
to be
Correct.
kindled with
Correct.
right
Right.
kind of
Right.
some way where we are
Right.
reminded, okay,
Right.
this is
Right.
important.
Right.
So
Right.
it's so amazing to see the way it has panned out for you.
Right.
Now,
Right.
what's your plan, like with this framework, with whatever you've already been doing? You've
Right. Right.
identified your niche, you've
Right.
identified
Right.
some of the personas and segments.
Right.
What do you see next for your venture
Right.
from
Right.
here on?
Yeah. Thanks. So I think the focus obviously is on holistic wellness and occupational wellness. So occupational wellness, of course, is again focusing on helping people release their emotions,
Okay.
focusing on helping them find the meaning at work. One thing I think that I'm trying to do is, of course, wellness as an industry is quite fragmented. There are quite a few players, and I think obviously they're doing well. But I think one thing that I've observed based on my own observations and based on discussions with corporates is that the customer experience piece, in the wellness industry is kind of missing. The focus obviously is on helping people move towards the wellness aspect of it. But I think one thing that I'm probably trying to do, and there may be other players also, of course, but I think the focus is on using the customer experience principles by maybe getting some corporates to maybe outsource their wellness programs to us.
Hmm.
So I think either they could use our programs or we could help them drive their own programs.
Hmm.
And I've kind of called it Sarthi because Sarthi is obviously the charioteer.
Hmm.
So being their charioteer of their wellness chariot, maybe
Hmm.
adding that the personal touch there. So I think just to give you example, if there are companies who tie up with diagnostics and say doctors, they obviously have their own team. So one USP, me and my partner, in Sharoda, what we're trying to do is be in the forefront and drive it instead of someone else driving from our organization. Of course, we are a startup, so it's just the two of us for now. But at least even after we start scaling up, that is one thing that we would want to maintain is that we would want to be at the forefront so that we know what's happening, we know where the gaps are, and based on our experience, based on our understanding of what the customer wants, we may be able to fill in that gap. So apart from, I think wellness, of course, will be the focus, but it will also be in helping organizations understand, where are the gaps in the wellness programs and how they can be uh, catered more to the employers now that everyone is working from home. So how do you bridge that gap?
Hmm. Right.
So I think that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
working from home is a big shift. However, the timing is really very contextual, very relevant, because
right,
right now we are going through some unique phase in ever, right? And
right,
wellness is
right,
something which,
right,
I mean, at the individual level, at
correct,
every level, family
right,
level, corporate
right,
level, this is like the
yes,
top priority.
yeah,
In the retail store now, when the world is
yes,
started to
yes,
open up,
yeah,
this is something. In fact, just today in the newspaper, there was a huge article in Times of India where they are talking about how important wellness is and how it has
yes,
changed, right?
yes, yes,
And I've watched one TED talk where they were
mm,
studying how successful, what are the elements of a successful entrepreneurial venture, and
Right.
it wasn't the, the qualification of the founders, it wasn't the, the funding issue. The number one thing was the timing. When
Right.
was that launch, right? So
Right. Right.
I really wish that, the world, the support that the world needs, your organization brings
Right.
that in. And I also want
Right.
to acknowledge the, cool names that you have picked up, like Sarthi,
Yes.
right?
Right. Right.
And for everyone who's watching, Akshay is actually, again, I learned from him. He's an entrepreneur, but he's a wellpreneur, right? Is
Preneur.
that
Yes.
wellpreneur?
Wellpreneur.
Wellpreneur,
Yes.
yeah. And also tell us about the, your company's name, and there's
Yeah.
a kind of something unique and cool about that. Just
Right.
tell us a
Right.
little bit about that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So the name that we've given is Samaksh Holistic Wellness.
Hmm.
We wanted to keep it simple. So
Hmm.
Samaksh also means in front of you, in your presence,
Hmm.
and it also stands for, so my wife's name. She's also one of the co-founders. She's Samira and I'm Akshay, so it's Samaksh. But of course,
Oh.
we want to call it as Samaksh, is that we're always there with
Hmm.
you. And holistic wellness, obviously. So the thing, and there's one thing that we've started is, we call it the control Z factor of wellness.
Hmm.
So the mission that we've kept is, jumpstart your journey to undo stress, undo
Hmm.
ignorance, and undo aging. So the
Oh.
focus is to help people become more aware of their own selves, their own capabilities,
Hmm.
which is why we are touching all the 8 dimensions of wellness, which is your
Hmm.
spiritual, mental, physical, uh, even your emotional, environmental, social, occupational, and financial.
Hmm.
Because financial wellness is very important, and in our case, we're not looking at helping people make good investments. No, because we're not experts there. The focus is only on helping people, helping them understand what are their fears about money, and because I've gone through it myself.
Hmm.
So it's only understanding about that it's an energy, and we can definitely attract.
Hmm.
So again, I think the law of attraction comes in there.
Hmm.
So the focus is on control that factor of wellness, and which is why the program for individuals, we've called it 3Juvenate, which is three is your mind, body, and spirit.
Hmm.
Eight is again your 8 dimensions of wellness, and it also resonates with rejuvenate. That's the focus, is to help
Yes.
people rejuvenate.
Hmm.
Then there's something called as the molecule of life, which is nothing but a program for both corporates and individuals,
Hmm.
which involves a lifestyle reversal process. We've got a metabolic diseases consultant on board.
Hmm.
She's got about 30 years of experience. And again, I think the way we went about was, she's associated with India's leading diabetologist, who himself is very customer centric. Um,
Hmm.
and we also have a tie-up with SRL to help us with the diagnostics. So I think that is where it comes. So it's diagnostics plus the medical aspect, and me and my partner, who's a health coach. So we've combined emotional coaching plus health coaching, along with medicine and say diagnostics. So I think that is one package that we are giving to corporates,
Hmm.
and of
Hmm.
course to individuals as well. And we've also kind of separated it on the emotional wellness bit. One thing, I think some of the clients that we worked with, I think one of them reached out saying that why not reach out to the vernacular,
Hmm.
side so she's got a lot of people that she knows who
Hmm.
understand Marathi and Hindi more than
Hmm.
English,
Hmm.
and that's stopping them. So then she's been recommending that why not, have your videos in Marathi and even your creatives in Marathi. That'll help you reach out to more audience. So I think
Hmm.
that is the next thing that we are kind of focusing on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think, yeah, that's there.
A lot of interesting stuff I really liked. I think you've been integrating backward, forward. That's
Yeah.
how you've been like taking the owning the niche. I think this, as I
Yes.
learned from one of my mentors, that you can actually course do deep and be so good that you
Right.
own that niche, and
Right.
probably truly putting the customer centric mindset and learnings into practice.
Yes.
Akshay, probably as a wrap up,
Yeah.
as we start to wrap up, it's such an interesting discussion. I'm really enjoying every moment
Yeah.
with you on this.
Thank
I
you.
was
Same
not
here.
aware, yeah, what's going to unfold, but it's
Right.
really, really nice. So I just want to request your guidance for people who may want to have some direction, right? Whether in job, because you've also led that for quite many years,
Right.
the learning space, and people who want to do something out of passion. What do you suggest when it comes to couple of things, and of course also from the customer centric perspective, what do you suggest for them to be focusing on? One, two, three things, maybe that's something that you want to advise them to build. So build a customer centric career, or a customer centric career, which could be individually
Right.
running
Right.
themselves, their works,
Right.
or being part of a
Right.
company.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I think the first thing, based on my experience, I think what I would say, the first thing is just be you, which is, I think, just try and understand what are your emotions, understand what your fears are, and what is it that you love doing.
Hmm.
So people, of course, generally say that, if you're only focusing on yourself, you're being selfish.
Hmm.
But I would not. I would like to, kind of differ there,
Hmm.
because again, at the start of the interview, I said that it's only when you understand yourself will you be able to understand your customers.
Hmm.
So I think it's always essential to know what. So try and understand your own persona. I mean, in the language of the customer
Hmm.
experience
Hmm.
professionals,
Hmm.
what is your persona? What is it that you love doing?
Hmm.
What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And I think, don't disregard your weaknesses. Just focus on both your strengths as well as weaknesses, and go by your gut feeling. Like many times, I think, even I think based on my experience, there were many things that I felt I should have done,
Hmm.
but for whatever reasons, I was kind of asked not to. I was kind of dissuaded, and I gave in, and only to realize that, oh, I should have done that.
Hmm.
So I think the reason. So I think when I took the decision of moving out of a company that I loved, I, of course, I still do, my previous organization.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think one thing, on my 40th birthday, I'd said that, this is the year that I have to change. It's either
Hmm.
now or never, right?
Hmm.
And I think one thing that I had was, okay, you know what? If it doesn't work out, then yes, there's always an opportunity to go back to doing what I was doing. But then I think it does make sense to take that leap of faith and move forward. Challenges, anyways, will come, be it your job, be it your own enterprise. The thing is to have faith in your own capabilities, and having that faith that things will turn around. So I
Hmm.
think, just to recap, it's about, I think, just being you,
Hmm.
creating your own personas,
Hmm.
and having that faith that things will turn out for the best. I think that those are the
Wow.
three.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And where does I think I really love this, because I always, even in our master class, we always start with the ikigai, right? To
Right, right,
discover, and sometimes people get surprised. We are in a
right,
customer experience program, and
right.
in fact, when I started thinking about this, ikigai was not that popular, and later
Correct.
it's more than a year back now. And when I was traveling, on the airports, I would suddenly see ikigai book at the top
Books.
sellers.
Yes, yes,
So that told me, it's suddenly trending. It was
yes,
after
yes.
few months after we kind of were doing it. So I
Right,
completely resonate with you. What you said is believing,
right.
being clear about who you are,
Correct,
uh, creating from that space to serve your customers, right?
correct.
And
Yes,
then really having the faith. And I think you're
yes.
a living example of that, right? So it's great, Akshay. I think with that, is there any final one, two words or one sentence, like, something that you want to give us as the, of course there are so many golden nuggets there, but
Right,
maybe the
right.
big golden nugget, the ultimate,
Nugget.
and the final one before
Right.
we wrap up.
Yeah, I think it's again. I think the thing is about self love, and
Okay.
self love is nothing but loving your heart, because
Hmm.
heart is everything, right? It pumps your blood, it pumps the passion. So I think that is what I often tell this to my clients also, and to my friends as well, that self love is all about loving your heart.
Hmm.
So I think, and once you do that, you will definitely be unlocking, not only your potential but everything that you would want to do in life. That is
Wow.
what I
I
say.
have heard so many times self love, love yourself, but love your heart
Right.
is something, it takes it probably to another level. I could just feel it. So
Yeah, it is. It
thank you
is.
so
Thank you.
much for saying that,
Thank
because I
you.
think
Thank you.
personally I need to learn that for myself.
Right.
Because in fact, in my goals and 2021 vision, I actually drew a couple of hearts, when I would earlier
Oh
draw
wow.
them, and that was with the consciousness that at least when I'm putting it there, I'll do something more about
Right.
it. I'll take
Right.
so
Right. Right.
I think I really take that,
Right.
as message for me as well. And I'm sure everybody who's listening,
Yes.
watching, will
Yes.
have their own takeaways.
Right.
Akshay, it's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just tell us, if somebody wants to reach you, where are you? If you have a website and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, just,
Yes.
quickly tell
Yeah.
us, somebody wants to
Yeah.
approach you.
Yes. So I can be reached on my email address is akshaym@samakshhealing.com, and my website is samakshhealing.com.
Hmm. Okay.
And yeah, I think people can reach out over email or the website, and my LinkedIn page is Akshay Masurekar.
Hmm. Okay, I think what we'll also do is we'll put the links of Akshay's coordinates if anybody wants to reach him for the kind of amazing work that he's doing in
Right.
wellness space, and learn more about his works in the
Right.
channel, YouTube channel, and wherever
Right.
we post the
Yes.
this video and
Right.
this episode.
Yeah.
So once again, Akshay, thank you so much for
Thank
making
you.
it today, and congratulations for being in the Hall of Fame, which is an honor to
Yes.
have
Thank
you.
you. It is an
It's
honor for me to be a part of this. Thank you very
it's
much, Rajat.
amazing. So let's be in touch. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rajat. Thank you.